sounding the alarm over possible changes to how transit agencies are governed in Ontario. Advocacy groups and union leaders in the city arguing new legislation will give the provincial government sweeping powers to change fares and service levels. Good evening. Critics held a day of action in opposition to the legislation, concerned the government will take over the decisions currently being made at City Hall.
But the province's transportation minister says the claims are inaccurate and the legislation is required to better integrate transit fares and help riders save money. CTV's Beth McDonnell has the details.
It's a day of action for advocacy group TTC riders. Volunteers are handing out flyers with warnings about the public transportation aspects of Bill 98. They believe it's about more than expanding the one fare program across the GTHA.
I mean, it's alarming.
TTC riders say the bill will give the province sweeping new powers. The group is concerned about everything from the cost of fares increasing to controlling service standards.
We all have a voice as citizens. We can go out to the TTC board. We can speak publicly about issues. But if Doug Ford takes over TTC, as is proposed in his Bill 98, we won't have that access anymore. He will have the freedom to just hike the fares as much as possible. He'll have the freedom to cut service as much as possible, and we won't have a voice in that.
There's questions about, will this make things smoother from location to location? And I don't think there's any indication of that. You can already use your Presto card to get onto the GO train and get around the city, get around the province. You don't need to take over the TTC to make any of those improvements.
The NDP says last week it tabled 20 amendments in committee in an effort to reduce overreach and keep the bill focused on fare integration. But every one was shut down.
They have essentially created a bill that nobody asked for. They did not consult transit agencies across the province. We heard this in hearings, and they're tinkering and making changes. And the changes allow, when the experts look into the language of this bill, for things like fare by kilometer, for instance, changing to fare structure, all sorts of things that were unwanted and unasked for.
The Minister of Transportation's office tells CTV News the concerns by TTC riders are inaccurate and misguided. It says the legislation further integrates transit fares, saving families who travel into Toronto from around the GTHA. Adding the government will continue to work closely with the TTC, which will continue to be owned and operated by the municipality.
I live in the 905 region, but I come down here a lot, and I don't want to take my car down here because traffic is too congested, so it's going to cost me. It's going to cost me in gas, it's going to cost me in fare, so everything is going up. I'm going to feel it. We're all going to feel it.
The NDP says third reading of Bill 98 is expected later this week. After that, it could receive royal assent and become law. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Staying with transit, today was a big test for the city's transit system as upwards of 40,000 fans headed to BMO Field for the TFC match. This was the scene this afternoon. City and transit officials say they were using this large-scale event as a dry run before the World Cup matches next month. The plan included increased service on key streetcar routes to get to the stadium, as well as expanded subway service. Metrolinx tells us it was busy at Exhibition GO Station pre- and post-match, but the Lakeshore line is running well and there were no significant service delays. Meanwhile, the TTC says there were also no significant issues, but there were some streetcar delays pre-game due to road congestion. Results from the dry run will be used to identify any gaps to further refine service plans before the first game on June 12th.
And fans heading to the game from the West End had to navigate a transit detour with no service on a stretch of Line 2 today. Service isn't running between Kipling and Jane stations due to planned signal work. Shuttle buses are running instead, with service set to resume Sunday morning at 8. And a big disruption on the roads this weekend. The Don Valley Parkway closed for scheduled maintenance. It shut down from the 401 to the Jarvis Street ramp on the Gardner as crews conduct repairs and refresh road markings. The highway is scheduled to reopen Monday morning at 5 a.m.
We'll have more news in a moment, but first here's a live look at that empty DVP. However, there are some rain showers falling right now. You can see the dark skies rolling through. Let's show you some weather alerts because there are a few to tell you about. The City of Toronto and the GTA not under a frost advisory, but there is one to the east, north, and west of it. Our friends in Hamilton are under a thunderstorm watch, while there is a thunderstorm warning in Niagara Falls as well. Also, in and around Barrie and Bancroft could see some thunderstorms also. This is a look at the satellite radar. You get a better picture of that system that's making its way through southwestern Ontario. Current winds, that has been a story throughout the day. 31 kilometers per hour in Toronto, gusts up to 50 kilometers per hour. Stronger in Hamilton, all the way up to 72 kilometers per hour. From a temperature perspective, everyone's still in the double digits right now, 13 degrees in the city of Toronto. One more board for you to look at. Here's a bonus one. 20 degrees still in Windsor. Shaping up to be a beautiful Mother's Day. That's the good news. We'll have all those details in your forecast coming up. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. A man has been rushed to hospital after being struck by a vehicle in North York while riding an e-scooter. Toronto police say a man in his 60s was struck near Shepherd and Allen Road just before 2:30 this afternoon. He was taken to hospital with serious, potentially life-threatening injuries. The driver remained on scene. The investigation is ongoing.
South of the border, 3 suspects from Hamilton are facing charges of trying to smuggle several dozen firearms back into Canada. New York State Police say they pulled over a white Ford Explorer on Thursday around the Finger Lakes area. During a search, they say they found 89 firearms, 17 of which had been reported stolen. 22-year-olds Malik Bromfield and Kamal Salman, both Canadian citizens, were arrested on smuggling charges, as was 25-year-old Faizan Ali, a Pakistani citizen. Ali was also wanted by Hamilton police in connection with the death of a motorcyclist in 2021.
An elderly couple and their daughter from Burlington were surprised to see a full tactical SWAT team on their doorstep with guns pointed at them.
As CTV's John Woodward reports, a video shows the scene play out when it happened, and they're still looking for answers months later.
Tactical rescue unit.
Those are heavily armed Halton Regional Police officers on the doorstep of this Burlington home.
I will never forget that day.
Jennifer Olchowi still shaken. Her mom, Jeannie, is 85, and her dad, Nicholas, is 94. All of them had no idea why a full tactical SWAT team descended on their address last August with their rifles ready to be used.
There are guns, assault rifles aimed on our head, and I'm trying consciously not to flinch because I don't want us to get shot.
The Olchowi's phone rang, and it was officers asking them to come outside and then put their arms in the air.
They're telling me to put my hands up. Are you serious?
All I could hear was the screaming, and I kept saying, why am I putting my arms up in the air? What have we done?
Jeannie and Jennifer complied. Nicholas, who was still in their house, didn't know what to make of the demands.
No. Are you kidding?
Eventually, Nicholas came out too.
I started to walk towards the officers, and they said, take your time, even though the killer was supposedly in the house. There was nobody there.
They learned from officers at the scene that someone had called police warning of an active shooter at their address with a name they didn't recognize. It's a tactic called swatting, a fake call that brings down the SWAT team that creates a terrifying experience for those inside. Several schools in the GTA were disrupted recently, a victim of the same tactic.
It's certainly become common in online gaming communities of teenagers.
Cybersecurity expert Chester Wisniewski said tracing a call can be difficult, but authorities have had more success catching people when they do it more than once.
The anonymity of the internet emboldens people to commit these types of crimes.
As for this case, Halton police said they're investigating and say police have a duty to respond strategically to active and potential threats to protect the community. Most often in the case of a swatting incident, the caller alleges an ongoing violent incident is taking place and officers must respond to meet any and all potential threats until such time as the incident is proven to be false.
It's still traumatic. I don't go out the front door.
The Olchowi's still reeling today. They filed a complaint. They wish the incident had been handled differently, and they're still waiting for a full explanation. John Woodward, CTV News.
The mayor and police chief were on hand at Jimmy Simpson Park today for the launch of Police Week. Kids got the chance to check out some of the police vehicles ahead of the official launch. Police say the initiative is about highlighting the importance of police services and creating safer, healthier communities through connecting with the public and discussing measures to prevent and address crime.
Neighborhood community officers often know people on a first-name basis and are able to connect community members with the resources they need, and they can help to resolve issues before they escalate. Thanks To the support of the Police Service Board and the city's investment in a multi-year hiring plan, we've been able to hire more police officers and further expand our neighborhood community officer program. We now have neighborhood community officers in 60 neighborhoods across the city, including right here in 55 Division.
And yes, you heard from the chief, more neighborhood community officers connecting with you to prevent crime from happening, which is really, really important, because if we can prevent the crime, then we don't have to arrest the criminals. And you've heard from our chief that the crime rate, actually, the murder rate, is lowest in 50 years. That is worthy of celebration.
Police Week runs through next Saturday, and more information can be found on the TPS website.
A Toronto diner, which has been a neighborhood staple for more than 7 decades, is serving its final meals today.
Known for its consistent food and unapologetic owner, we were there today as the Patrician Grill said its final goodbye.
Doesn't got a grandma, your mom, you can go get breakfast?
That's the always lovable Terry Pappas, owner of the Patrician Grill. He's greeting customers who have lined up more than an hour before the doors open for the very last time.
My home fries are burning.
It's that place that feels like home. It's Cheers and the Seinfeld diner put into one.
There aren't too many places like this left in Toronto, and that's a sad thing.
Home fries, bacon, and eggs. They're all on the menu at this King Street diner, which opened in 1953. The Pappas family took it over the same year the Maple Leafs won their last Stanley Cup, and it's been in the family ever since.
It's overwhelming, all these people that are coming to show up on our last day. I did not know how much of an impact the Patrician Grill had on everybody, and it seems that they like us.
Oh, the customers liked the Patrician all right, with many of them regulars for decades.
He never gives us a free breakfast.
The atmosphere, the food, it's one of the most consistent restaurants in the city I've ever been to. I've probably eaten this breakfast 500 times, and it's always the same.
And everyone has their favorite dish.
Ooh, I love the Western omelet here.
Okay, bacon sandwich.
Terry says he's received many offers to sell over the years, but now is the right time to retire and move on from the family business.
It wasn't an easy decision either to make. It was painstaking. It was very emotional between me and my sister. And it's too bad that my mom wasn't alive. My dad passed away about 2011. My mom only about 3 years ago. It would have been nice for her life to be able to be here and to experience the amount of appreciation and, I guess, love that everyone has for us.
While he's not sharing who's bought the building yet, his loyal customers are now left with a big question. Where do they eat now?
We've been talking about this for the last 2 months to try and find a replacement for the Patrician, and we haven't found one yet.
Because it's not just about replacing the food, it's finding a new family. Music icon Elton John is set to be honored in Toronto tonight.
He's being awarded one of the most prestigious international cultural honors at the Gould Prize Gala tonight. CP24's Jian Lee joins us now live from the red carpet for tonight's event. Ji, a lot of Canadians representing tonight.
A lot of Canadians are presenting tonight. A lot of Canadians are performing tonight because this is a very special night, the 15th annual Gould Prize Gala. And we are live on the red carpet. It's a very quiet red carpet at the moment, but we are expecting quite a few people to come down the red carpet. Sarah McLachlan is performing tonight, Eric McCormick, The Beaches, Diana Krall. They're all coming down the red carpet tonight. And of course, we are hoping for the honoree himself, Elton John and David Furnish. This carpet is live now, but we did have a chance to speak to Brian Levine, the CEO of the Glenn Gould Foundation, and here's what he had to say about this year's selection.
Ultimately, it was a slam dunk. Elton John met every criterion in a huge way: his philanthropy, his influence, his success, his just redefining of what popular music is. You know, he's influenced the world, and he's known all over the world. He's, you know, not only transformed recorded music, but also theater, film, television, and fashion and style. And of course, he's been a gigantic philanthropist, one of the most generous philanthropists in Britain, with his Elton John AIDS Foundation. He's fought for LGBTQ plus rights, and he's mentored and promoted young artists.
And this is what the Glenn Gould Prize is all about. The idea is to find people who really define these three words, and that is celebration, inspiration, and transformation. And so, as you see, Brian Levine is on the red carpet right now doing his photo opportunity. We are standing by, hopefully, to speak to some of the other performers tonight. And again, this is the 15th annual Glenn Gould Prize Gala. It gets underway at 8 p.m. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks for that, G. Looking forward to seeing your coverage throughout the night. Still ahead this hour, the Prime Minister addressed the Global Progress Action Summit today in our city. More on his comments about shifting Canada's trade strategy in response to our current relationship with the U.S. That's a little later in the newscast.
But first, many around the world are following the progress of that cruise ship hit with a deadly hantavirus outbreak as it's expected to reach Spain's Canary Islands in the coming hours.
The World Health Organization says there have been 3 lives lost and 8 cases in total, while nobody has symptoms among the more than 140 people still on board.
There will be small boats that will bring the passengers in groups to the dock. There will be a medical screening that will be done. If there's anybody that develops symptoms, anybody that has symptoms, they will immediately go to a medical evacuation plane and be taken to the Netherlands for care. For those who are healthy, those who are doing well, they will go to individual planes that are being organized by countries.
The federal government has said it is sending consular officials to meet 4 Canadians who are on board. 3 people with connections to the cruise are already isolating in Ontario and Quebec. The circumstances around the impacted ship are also prompting concerns for the cruise industry as a whole. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth reports from Halifax.
The cruise ship industry is big business. It's a huge chunk of tourism in Nova Scotia.
It extends the season. It makes the visitation stronger.
350,000 passengers visit this port every year. But the deadly hantavirus outbreak on board the MV Hondius is so terrifying, some travelers will not be going for an ocean voyage anytime soon.
I wouldn't go on them.
The tourism operator Sean Buckland has not seen a drop-off in cruise ship passengers in the wake of the outbreak. He also has a basic message for all would-be travelers.
That we've taken every precaution necessary to make sure they have a safe experience with us.
That message comes at a time when the cruise schedule is getting busy, especially in this part of the country. More than 180 cruise ships will visit this region between now and November.
It's not the news that the industry wants at any time.
Dalhousie University professor and tourism analyst Lauren Sheehan says the onus is on cruise ship companies to maintain a high level of consumer confidence.
Trust that we're doing what we can to keep the experience as safe as possible, as we always do on our cruise ships.
Norman Yee has taken numerous cruises in the past and would feel safe doing it again. He says the COVID-19 pandemic serves as a reminder of what to do in these situations.
No, I don't necessarily wear a mask when I'm on the plane or I'm on a cruise ship, but I have them available. We clean our hands.
And stay prepared for all possible public health dangers as he plans his vacation travel schedule for the upcoming summer season. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Alberta's Privacy Commissioner is now investigating the leak of names, addresses, and phone numbers of nearly 3 million voters, including former Premier Jason Kennedy. In an interview airing tomorrow on CTV's Question Period, Kennedy says he believes he should pursue legal options, saying he's become a punching bag for the members of the Alberta separatist movement. This is all unfolding as advocates were gathering signatures aimed at putting the question of independence on an October ballot.
That group started basically as an anti-vax kind of convoy adjacent movement back in 2021. And there's some pretty highly caffeinated people there. And so I'm taking prudent security measures. But I'm also concerned for the 3 million people whose privacy has been breached here. Think about the vulnerable, women, victims of domestic violence whose perpetrators can now more easily find out where they're living and so forth.
The names were published online by a separatist group called the Centurion Project. Elections Alberta says the list was legally obtained by the Republican Party of Alberta, though it's unclear how it wound up with the Centurion Project. David Parker, a key organizer behind the Centurion Project, claimed on social media that there had been no data breach. Well, we have some developing news out of Scarborough Southwest, where the Ontario Liberals have chosen their candidate for an upcoming by-election.
The game just started. What we played, this is like a semi-final, okay? This is a this is a semi-final. Now we have to play a final.
You're looking at the winner there, the party-declared business owner, Anashul Haviz. The winner, he had faced off against several other candidates, including Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith, who's eyed a new run at the party's leadership. We'll have more details on CTV News at 11:30.
The Prime Minister addressed the Global Progress Action Summit today. Mark Carney touched on Canada's shifting trade strategy in response to U.S. tariffs under President Trump.
And our response begins by reimagining aspects of North American integration. And to be absolutely clear, Canada, like Mexico, Canada remains open to deeper integration, including options for Fortress North America in selected sectors. And to be clear, those offers are on the table. But if that route is not ultimately possible, we will invest heavily in new markets and products. We'll reward those who build, buy, and produce in Canada, and we will build new partnerships abroad. We're already applying the main lessons of the past 18 months, that we must build our strategic autonomy.
The Prime Minister's comments come as Canada, the U.S. and Mexico prepare for this summer's review of the CUSMA trade agreement. Carney also highlighted investments in infrastructure projects, telling progressive leaders that positive action is the best response in a time when people are feeling a loss of control over their lives. Conservatives argue under Liberal policies, people are still facing higher and higher costs.
There was more disappointment on the job front, with the country losing 18,000 positions in April and the unemployment rate rising to 6.9%, a six-month high.
For young people, the latest numbers are particularly concerning. With more, here is CTV's John Venevalley-Rao.
At job fairs across the country this spring, for young people looking for work, it hasn't been easy.
The job market, especially right now, is not the best that it's ever been.
And the latest numbers showing while overall employment has largely unchanged, for 15 to 24-year-olds, it crept up another half a percentage point to more than 14%, double the national average. For students, the unemployment rate is 16%.
And teenagers is even worse. The unemployment rate's north of 20%.
A recent report by the Fraser Institute highlights how youth unemployment has surged since the pandemic, reversing a decades-long downward trend. The report finding in 2025, youths who were unemployed remained jobless for the longest period ever on record.
The labor market for young people in this country is similar to what happens during a severe recession.
The report found the weakness was concentrated in retail trade, accommodation, and food services.
I feel frustrated.
Reza Mahmoudian is 28 and has struggled the last 3 months to find a job. He was a home energy saving consultant, but work has dried up.
I've applied for jobs, like for more than 100 jobs, and no one got back to me yet, even a single one.
Like many his age, he's also worried about the rising cost of living. A new Nanos poll for CTV found, while nearly half of those over the age of 55 felt inflation is not a major problem, in the 18 to 34 age bracket, only 1 in 4 aren't concerned about it.
Rent is very high right now.
While among young people, 22% said they'd canceled a major purchase because of increasing prices, the most of any age group. Meanwhile, that Fraser Institute report notes the gap in the unemployment rate between young people and adults is now near an all-time high. John Venevalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Turning now to the latest in the Middle East conflict, the U.S. and Iran traded fire in the Persian Gulf today as the two sides appear no closer to finding an end to their ongoing war. Recent days have seen the biggest flare-ups in fighting around the Strait of Hormuz since a ceasefire began a month ago. Washington has been awaiting Tehran's response to a U.S. proposal that would formally end the war before talks on more contentious issues, including Iran's nuclear program. Now, that's according to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Really, what the president is saying is he's not being fussed by all the shooting. And, you know, that's the most important person we got to listen to right now. And it really does sound like he wants the negotiators and to talk about what are the potential solutions to this war. So as long as he keeps saying that, any exchanges of fire, including in Lebanon, seems to be noise rate at this stage in the game, and that's encouraging for the negotiators.
In Lebanon, officials say 7 people are dead after an Israeli strike on a southern town, with 15 others hurt. Israel's military says it struck Hezbollah militants who were planning attacks against soldiers, and it's reviewing what took place after reports regarding harm to uninvolved civilians. Israel has carved out a self-declared security zone against the Iran-backed group in southern Lebanon, and both sides have kept up attacks despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire last month.
Russia held a scaled-down victory in Europe parade today in Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin told soldiers and foreign leaders that he was confident his country would defeat Ukraine despite his invasion being in its 5th year. But for the first time in nearly 2 decades, the parade took place without tanks, missiles, and other heavy weapons. Officials also said security had been increased because of the threat of a Ukrainian attack. And crowds packed the streets outside Hungary's parliament building today as Peter Magyar was sworn in as prime minister. Magyar led the opposition to a crushing victory over outgoing nationalist PM Viktor Orban, a close ally of U.S. President Donald Trump and one of the most vocal critics of EU support for Ukraine.
For years, scientists, lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and yes, even conspiracy theorists have pressed the Pentagon to release UFO files.
Following a directive from President Donald Trump, the Pentagon has released a new collection of never-before-seen classified documents. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malvin reports.
If the truth is out there, it's now online. The Pentagon releasing a trove of classified UFO files under wraps for decades.
Oh my gosh. Look at that thing, dude.
From military encounters that seem to defy physics, this star-shaped object flying at supersonic speeds over the Middle East. And what the heck is this? They still can't explain it. The collection even includes incidents aboard NASA's moon missions. Gemini's Frank Borman in 1965 reported seeing something strange in space.
So we have a bogey at 10 o'clock time. It looks like hundreds of little particles going by from west out about 3 to 4 miles.
Houston acknowledges
this is the unidentified object in addition to particles which appear to be headed in a polar orbit, you heard Frank Borman say.
Apollo astronaut Buzz Aldrin reported seeing bright flashes of light that moved alongside his spacecraft, even reporting flashes on the moon's lunar surface. But these close encounters released by the Pentagon didn't impress this astrophysicist.
This is my day job, looking, searching for alien life, thinking about alien life. It's more fuzzy blob videos like the one you're showing. There's nothing in here that we haven't seen before.
The Pentagon's archive covers hundreds of incidents from around the world since the 1940s. And if there's no hard evidence of alien spacecraft, here's another explanation.
I do think that some of our adversaries, very frankly, have technologies that have been used against us that appear to be alien.
President Donald Trump said he'll let the American people make up their own minds if there is something out there, and promising more releases to come. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Celebrating 25 years of the Megan Bevanek Foundation, giving back, raising funds, and making memories.
And 25 years ago, we made a promise that Megan's legacy would live on. and creating hope for all children. So today, standing here with all of you, I know that that promise has been kept, not by one person, but by all of us.
As Denise Bevanek, she's thanking hundreds of people who came out once again surrounding the hospital for sick children with a ceremonial hug and walk before it. 25 years ago, the Bevanek family turned their loss of their daughter to a pediatric brain tumor. To date, the foundation has raised over $6.5 million for research at sick kids.
And you were there, as you were every year.
And the weather turned out great today.
Yeah, absolutely. It turned out nice, which was amazing because, as we've seen over the last hour or so, things have taken a turn, right? We have some showers, but it's going to be a short spell because we are in for a beautiful Mother's Day tomorrow. Let's show you where the temperatures stand right now. 13 degrees in the city of Toronto. Windsor still flirting with the 20s, 21 degrees. That's nice. It is going to be a chilly one tonight, certainly below normal for this time of year. 4 will be our overnight low. Normal for this time of year is double that. As we wake up tomorrow, plenty of sunshine to get outside and enjoy. 8 degrees by 9 a.m. and we get all the way up to 14 degrees. That is still below normal. Normal for this time of year is 18, but 14 still comfortable, especially with that sunshine. It could certainly feel warmer than that. Let's take a look at the forecast radar. So you can see that we are still dealing with a bit of a system. The bulk of it has passed the GTA. Now it's making its way east and south of the Canadian border. Forecast radar, clear skies, a little bit of some scattered showers you could see on Sunday evening. And you will see that in your 7-day forecast. So Sunday, we've talked about that. Monday, another great day. There is a chance for some night showers on Tuesday. Then a little more cloud cover rolls in the middle of the week. So those overnight lows still well below normal for this time of year. Even those daytime highs, while we are more consistent in the double digits, they are below normal and below seasonal for this time of year as well. So next few days, a lot of sunshine. Then we get some showers, 40% chance of showers on Wednesday and Thursday. Take a look at next Friday. I know it's a little bit of a ways off, but 21 degrees could be our daytime high. That's nice to see. And then potentially for some more showers on Saturday. So very comfortable temperatures, and those overnight lows, though, still below seasonal. Andrea.
Thank you, Raheem. Well, as we mentioned earlier in the newscast, Toronto FC was in action today, playing in front of the largest crowd in BMO Field history as they welcome superstar Lionel Messi and Inter Miami to town.
Over to the far side it goes. Messi for 4.
And Messi didn't disappoint the almost 45,000 fans in attendance, scoring his team's 4th goal of the match in the 74th minute. TFC scored twice late in the second half. But they all cheering for the opposition there, but it wasn't enough to overcome the deficit, ultimately falling 4-2. Toronto FC is back in action next Saturday when he visits Charlotte FC.
The Blue Jays were looking for a second straight win as Trey Savage took them out against the LA Angels.
He can. It's hit hard. It's gone.
The Jays' bats erupted in the 5th inning with 7 runs, including this 3-run homer from Brandon Valenzuela to crack the game wide open. They went on to win 14-1. Wow. Toronto will go for the series sweep tomorrow afternoon.
And it was an historic night at Coca-Cola Coliseum last night. A sold-out crowd taking to the Toronto Tempo's first ever WNBA game.
Sykes and Mabry. Sykes for 3. Off the rim. 10 seconds.
It was a close game from start to finish. The Tempo coming up just short in the end, missing this 3 with less than 15 seconds left to lose 68-65. Marina Mabry led the way for Toronto with 27 points, and despite the loss, Tempo fans on the way home were glad a new era for women's basketball is underway.
What a great game. What a great
Fabulous effort
for Toronto, for Canada. We have been waiting for this for so long, and the team did us so proud tonight.
And the crowd was insane. The crowd loved every second of it. We showed them love, and hopefully they noticed it.
It was so amazing to be part of this historic moment where women finally get to be in Toronto in professional basketball. It was truly amazing. The refs were handing out points. We can't do anything about it, but we love to see the women playing in Toronto.
Some things never change. The Tempo are back on the court Wednesday, hosting the Seattle Storm.
The annual Sporting Life 10K run is set to take over city streets tomorrow. It is a major fundraiser to help support kids with cancer or serious illness through Campfire Circle's programs. The run will mean closures on Yonge Street south of Lawrence down to the finish line at Front and Cherry Street. The race gets underway tomorrow morning at 7:30.
Former Blue Jays manager Bobby Cox has died. Cox managed the Jays from 1982 to 1985, leading the franchise to his first ever American League East title and postseason appearance. Cox would go on to manage the Atlanta Braves, losing to Toronto in 1992 World Series. Cox would eventually get a World Series title in 1995. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2014. A few years late after his retirement, Bobby Cox was 84 years old. And still to come, I sit down with Richard Krause to talk about some of the latest releases, including The Sheep Detectives, that follows a plot getting to the bottom of a crime. That's just ahead. Now to some news that may send Brampton residents scrambling to check their lotto tickets. Last night, $70 million winning Lotto Max ticket was sold to someone in Brampton. OLG confirms there was just one winner for last night's massive jackpot. There was also a big winner last night in Milton. That's where Raheem was recently, but did not get a winning ticket. The lone ticket for yesterday was Max Millions was worth over $333,000.
With the FIFA World Cup getting underway in just over a month, we now know some of the artists set to perform at the Canadian opening ceremony. Jessie Reyes and Eliana this week released their FIFA track, Illuminate. They're slated to perform at Toronto Stadium June 12th, as are Alanis Morissette, Alessia Cara, Michael Bublé, and several other artists. Opening ceremonies will also take place in fellow host countries, the U.S. and Mexico. A British runner became the fastest woman to run the entire coastline of Great Britain, completing the challenge in 204 days. That's Megan Boxall. She ran the equivalent of 200 marathons over 204 days, crossing the finish line in the English village of Sizewell after completing an 8,700-kilometer loop. She began in October 2025.
Carl Urban is having quite the time on the big screen and the small screen. Carl Urban is in The Boys on the small screen, and he's in Mortal Kombat 2. Richard Krause joins us now. Two shows that I don't watch, so I have no skin in the game on Mortal Kombat 2. So take it away, my friend.
Based on a really popular video game series, there have been a number of Mortal Kombat movies. For my money, this is the best of them. It seems to be closest in spirit to the games. And essentially, I can tell you the story. It doesn't really matter. There's a really, really bad guy who wants to take over all the realms, the outer realm, the earth realm, all that stuff. And to do so, he's got to win a bunch of tournaments. And we meet the earth team who is going to battle against this bad guy, this Genghis Khan style bad guy, in order to protect Earth. And Carl Urban is one of them. He plays a Hollywood action star that gets recruited in on this. And of course, his superpower is that he's really handsome. So Mortal Kombat 2, it's kind of funny, it's kind of goofy. If you are a fan, you'll probably like it because it really does kind of feel like the video games.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of ads for this one. It's called The Sheep Detective, and you called it bizarre but crowd-pleasing. Take it away, Richard.
It's a strange movie, but I kind of loved it. So Hugh Jackman plays a sheep herder, and he's got a lot of sheep. And he tells them detective stories every night before they all sort of, turn down for the night. And then when he ends up murdered, the sheep who can actually talk, and they've learned the lessons from all these detective novels he's read them, decide that they are going to solve the crime of who murdered their shepherd. And so it is very much, though, a family movie. It's about murder, it's about detectives, but it's really for the entire family. It's got a real heightened sense of humor about it, and a great cast. Emma Thompson's in here, Hugh Jackman, Nicholas Braun. This is good stuff, and while it's a little strange, it's really good.
Okay, and you recently interviewed Nicholas Braun.
I did. He, of course, was Cousin Greg on Succession. And when you watch the movie, there's a lot of sheep. There's hundreds of sheep. I said, how many actual sheep were on the set? And this is what he said.
Not a single sheep.
Not a single sheep? No.
Unfortunately. I thought there would be some around,
Yeah.
like even if you're just filling the background of the field or something, but they made every sheep. They, created it by CG. Sometimes there was a guy or a group of guys, if the sheep were running down the street, they would run in the background with the cardboard versions. It's like kind of amazing.
That's awesome.
We didn't need that, but if you're gonna do it, thank you. And so they were running around, and they also made some stuffed animal versions of the sheep. So sometimes on the other side of the camera, I would have a stuffed animal version of Lily or something, which was nice. But there's a lot of imagining and hoping the CG team brings it to life properly, but they did.
And so now we know all about the sheep, Richard. You recommend this one, and this is in theaters right now, correct?
It is, and it's a really good movie. And even though it's about talking sheep, it really is for the whole family. I think parents will get a kick out of this as well.
Okay, let's talk very quickly about Omaha. You gave it 3.5 stars, so you must have liked this one too.
I did. Very quiet movie. This is a movie about a father who takes his kids on a road trip, and we don't know where they're going, and we don't know exactly why he's taking them on a road trip. We do get the sense that his house has been foreclosed on, but beyond that, we don't know. And that's the beauty of this movie, is the not knowing, because it builds up to an emotional wallop in its last few moments. Quiet. It has its moments when it really feels like you're on a real road trip, the kind where things get kind of tiresome after a while, counting cars that go by and pointing out the sheep in the fields and whatever else it might be. But it's a beautiful film with really natural performances called Omaha, and it's in theaters now.
Okay, something for everyone this week. Richard Krause, thanks for joining us, my friend. We'll see you at 11:30, and we'll talk about a show that I have been watching, which is Running Point. See you then.
See you then.
Tonight, growing concerns as fears rise about cruise travel.
It's not the news that the industry wants at any time.
A deadly hantavirus outbreak at sea and the ripple effect rocking the industry. Later on CTV National News and Watch on Crave.
Welcome back. An Ottawa area couple is crediting their dog with alerting them to a fire in the middle of the night.
They were sleeping and say their dog growling woke them up. And that gave them enough time to call 911 and get out. CTV's Katie Griffin has the story.
Jennifer Phillip took this video as firefighters worked to save her house in Greeley earlier this week.
From the time that it was just the shed to the whole, roof on fire, it was just minutes.
Phillip and her husband were sleeping when just after midnight Monday, their dog Shady started to growl and bark.
He woke us up when the shed was in flames. And so he had heard, I guess, like some, crackling or whatever noise from the shed.
It quickly spread to their house.
We grabbed our fire extinguisher, but it was way too out of control at that point. Ran out of the house in a house coat with no shoes on. And as we stood on the street, like within a minute, the house filled with smoke. So, Shady got us out with minutes to spare.
The fire was in an area of the city with no hydrants, so firefighters had to use tanker trucks to bring water to the scene.
A lot of homes now are built with siding, which goes up extremely fast, and it's like liquid gasoline. So you want to remember not to keep anything flammable near the siding of the house.
Ottawa Fire stressing the importance of smoke alarms and having an escape plan, adding you only have about 3 minutes to get out.
When the fire starts on the outside, by the time it gets onto the inside, it's going to leave you even less time to get out of the home.
I had a painting that I was doing of Shady and I, and they had taken that and put it on my desk and under a tarp before they had released all the water from the ceiling, and we really appreciate the care they took.
The cause of the fire is under investigation. The couple expects to be out of the house at least 6 months.
Good boy.
As for Shady, he's getting even more love this week.
I don't think it's possible to spoil him anymore, but he has gotten even more treats this week.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
Dogs have incredible noses, so maybe he smelt the fire also. Look at that.
I haven't seen that before.
What happened to the water?
That's really cool.
FIFA. I'm guessing FIFA.
Taking over the city. Yeah, no, it looks like a soccer pitch.
I have a story at 11:30.
All right. Let's take one more look at the weather before we let you go. Take a look at the satellite radar. There is a system making its way through southwestern Ontario, so there are certain parts which will be dealing with thunderstorms throughout the evening. Temperatures right now, 13 degrees in the city of Toronto. Here is your Mother's Day forecast. Shaping up to be a beautiful day to get outside and enjoy. 14 degrees by 4 p.m. and plenty of sunshine as well. 14 will be our daytime high tomorrow. Lots more sunshine on Monday and Tuesday. Those overnight lows, though, are still below normal, but we're getting a little bit more consistency with those double digits. And then the middle of the week, we could see some showers. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. I'll be sure to join us tonight at 11 for the CTV National News with Heather Butts, followed by our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all the hardworking people in front of and behind the camera, thank you for watching. Have a good night. I'm Andrea Case.
And I'm Raheem Radlani. Good night.